The best way to remove the sensor off of the bottom is not to disengage the harness from the sensor, but rather to turn the sensor and to disengage the sensor, remove the sensor from the tank itself. That way you can better work with the wiring harness without creating any damage. I'm going to use a small flathead screwdriver to pry the tab that you see from the sensor, and you want to pry it upward gently, not too hard, because you don't want to break the tab off. You just want to pry it up just a little bit using a small flathead screwdriver, and that way you can pull the sensor off. Now the new tank should come with a new sensor. And you can see how it's made, where it plugs into the wiring harness, and this fits up into the tank. So they can be purchased separately, but the new tank should also come with a new sensor as well. Now once the sensor is in place, you're then ready to reattach the hoses, place the tank into position, and then reattach the tank with the star bit screws. After that, you're ready to add coolant and to purge the system of air, or bleed it, just in case any air has gotten into the cooling system. You also want to connect the wiring harness prior to putting the tank into position. It'll be much easier to do so when the tank is lifted out. So now that the tank is in position, the hoses are connected, the wiring harness is connected to the sensor, we're ready to add coolant. Now the method that you'll use to replace the coolant is important, because you don't want air to be in the system. That could cause all sorts of problems. And so what you're going to do is that you're going to leave the cap off of the expansion tank. You're going to get into the car and turn the ignition switch into the on position without starting the vehicle. Next, you're going to turn the temperature switch on the thermostat all the way to the highest position for heat. After that, you're going to, if you have heated seats, turn the seat heaters into the high position. You're also going to place the fan in the low position. That will open up the thermostat, and you'll probably hear some clicking that will indicate that the thermostat is opening so that the fluid can go through. Next, you're going to slowly fill the expansion tank. After the expansion tank is full, you're going to start the engine and allow it to run until the engine gets at operating temperature. After that, you can place the cap onto the expansion tank and let the engine cool. Once the engine cools, you'll know whether or not you need to add additional fluid. I would also test drive the vehicle, let it cool, and check the fluid level as well. Next, we're going to set the temperature controls to warm. Now we're going to set the blower to the low position, and the heat control we're going to put on maximum. So we have two heat controls, and we're going to put those on maximum. Okay. Next we're going to fill the expansion tank that we just installed. Now if you haven't done so, it's also a good idea to change the expansion tank cap. The cap acts as a pressure regulator as well, I believe, and if the cap is not functioning properly, it could in theory create pressure, which would also cause the tank to leak, crack, or one of the hoses to malfunction. And so the cap is an important feature in this type of design because it's sort of a pressure release device. If you've had a problem with your tank, you should also change the cap as well, just to be sure, because that could actually be your point of failure. Next, we're going to turn the engine on. And we're going to leave the expansion tank cap off. Now we're going to run the engine until it gets to operating temperature. And after that, we're going to recheck the coolant level. And from there, we're going to replace the cap. And we should be good to go. Thank you for watching this DIY video. I hope you find it helpful.